one man saying that is fine. If that's your opinion and you're not in it, that's fine. But there is an entire market of millions and millions of people that agree that it is a store of value. So, you can think one thing, but there's also a market, and markets tend to become efficient over time.
We do know that you will always get paid in Hex on a daily basis. And that is truly the miracle that we call Hex, because it is trustless interest, trustless yield. Nothing will stop that contract from running.
Welcome in, everybody, to the Creed of Crypto. My name is Broke Boy Crypto. I have here with me, as always, my friend and co-host Crypto Ewok, or as some say, Bert and Ernie Crypto. There is a commenter that I fail to remember his name, but he compares our looks to Bert and Ernie. So I guess that's what we could go by now, the Bert and Ernie moniker. And an interesting question, drop it in the chat, actually. I'm interested to know you guys' thoughts when it comes to Bert and Ernie. Were these just friends living together, or was there something more there? That's what I'll leave you with. So let us know in the chat. That's what we're talking about tonight, Bert and Ernie's relationship. We are also talking about tonight, is this the worst crypto cycle ever? Yeah, definitely. We're going to get into why it has been so far anyway, and what we may have to come over the next calendar year. Hopefully something other than down only, which is all we've really known. We're going to get into that. We have some interesting developments with some Richard Hart posts over the last couple of days that are pretty interesting, and some things that we can read into a little bit more. We'll check on Bitcoin and ETH as always, and a whole bunch of other stuff too. We got some macro stuff coming up next week. Obviously, is the next FOMC meeting. We'll see what kind of nothingness ends up happening with that. But this is the last day of April. So, for what has been yet another, garbage crypto month, we do have Bitcoin obviously bouncing back up a little bit. And Animal and Kermit. There you go. That's pretty good, actually. I like that one. Checks my pulse. Very good. But we do have Bitcoin bouncing back up. But April is through. We're turning the page. We are heading into May here in a moment. But yeah, we trudge on in this just, bull market that keeps on beating us down. So Ewok, how are you feeling about sentiment and everything this evening?
Sentiment. Interesting. I think people are just beat up mentally. And, you can look at it one of two ways, where this bear market, bull market, whatever you want to call it, that we're in, is either completely the worst we've ever seen, or it's a blessing to try and get more. I mean, I guess it's all how you want to look at it. I think it's been great to try and capture more. I went in pretty heavily for sacrifice, and I didn't DCA like a lot of people were. I stacked up a little bit on the side here and there, and then again decided to buy in here recently when I thought we had bottomed. But for those who weren't involved, I see it as a blessing for a lot of people to be able to get in at these rates, because in my opinion, there's going to be a day that comes and people are like, man, you guys got lucky for getting those prices. And it really wasn't luck at all. It was just being in the right place at the right time and having conviction. Because right now, man, there's a lot of still negative sentiment. There's still people being flushed out daily, I think. And for those who do still believe and think that this is going to do things eventually, I think it's a blessing for those people. So I know a lot of people are out of DCA money. I get that, but there's been time to generate a little extra, sell something that's in the garage or in the attic or something like that, and plop it in the market. You may end up with 3 or 4 of them coming, down the road. You can sell it and, end up with a little bit more of what you had before. So that's how I see it. You're muted.
Yeah, it's a great time to auction off pets. It's a good time to
It's
sell body parts, a good time to maybe initiate divorce so you don't end up having money taken from you.
there you go.
Yeah, whatever it is you need to do, cut that special someone out of your life so you can buy more crypto. That's kind of the message that we're trying to convey here tonight. But yeah, my God, yeah. I mean, and I'm with you, Hex Girl. I mean, yeah, not selling either. It's one of those things where, you know, you just kind of continue to sit on your hands, continue to DCA, and maybe find better things to do than just, you know, Corey Geary talks about it on his show all the time, and he's right. Like, mindlessly doom scrolling or checking Twitter all day, every day. I mean, like, we've talked about it on this show many times. Like, being attached at the hip to crypto 24/7 is just not going to be the healthiest thing for you, especially because, as we know, the entire market spends most of its time in a down or sideways trend, and the ups are euphoric and limited in time. So, we'll continue this conversation as we just check on the Bitcoin and ETH price probably, and just continue with the mindset stuff. But I feel where you guys are all coming from tonight. It's been a tough last few years for us as well, and it's just kind of continuing to hang in there. Or, if you don't want to, you don't have to. I mean, a lot of people have exited, not just this ecosystem, obviously, but crypto in general. So, yeah, just kind of waiting for things to turn around. And if you have to get up every day and ask yourself, like, how much do I believe in this stuff? Do I really want to improve my quality of life? What other avenues do I see that I can do that? And just fire on all those cylinders. And if you still come to the end of the day, even with all the doubts that you have with what's been going on in this cycle and all the frustrations, if you still come to the end of the day and it's like, this is what I would choose all over again, you just have to keep waking up and doing it.
And I think that's a big one. One of the last things that you said is, what other option do I have to possibly turn this amount of money into crazy gains that I don't have any other way of doing? You know what I mean? I think that's the most important question that you have to ask yourself. Because is there another way that I could do this, where if it really is stressing you out, to answer that question? Is there another way to get these sizable returns for my investment? And if the answer is no, then stop stressing yourself out about it, and have conviction and believe that this is the right thing to do.
And a good comment from Digital Money Marcus here. About, like, it's so funny because, a lot of people, I think, got into their crypto journey like, okay, I'm going to get into this. And yeah, some people come in with a lottery ticket mindset and get rich quick, and they're going to lose from the beginning. But some people do rationally think, maybe I can get, an amount of money that was unthinkable for me over a 30-year time horizon, just investing in the old way. And all of a sudden, and I'm guilty of this too, all of a sudden your time frame as you're in crypto gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And it's like, no, it has to be this cycle. Like, I absolutely have to. And you could say, like, we're moving the goalposts or whatever. Time is relative. It's whatever you want to accomplish, what you're trying to do in. But even if it took you 2 cycles to get to where you really wanted to get, 8 years compared to potentially never getting to that point. I mean, we get spoiled when we see some of the gains that can happen in crypto, I think, and then our expectations change. But when you think about it, I mean, most people never would have dreamed of being able to not work for somebody else by the time, they were even... Oh, I thought that was going out. By the time they were even like 50, 60 years old. I mean, like, it's just not something that's available to people out there. So, yeah.
Yep. It's one thing that people, you can work till you're pretty much dead and keep putting into a retirement fund. And the way inflation goes, you almost never get ahead. And a lot of people have seen this as an, I don't want to say easy out, because there's nothing easy about it. But it does cut that time frame down. And, I've been here. This will be my 3rd cycle. So, just because people can get rich overnight, it doesn't happen to everybody. And you've got to take a couple steps back and, learn from mistakes, learn what you did wrong, and fix it for the next time.
Yeah, just have the power to stick it out and stick to it. So let's look at Bitcoin and Ethereum right now. So we got BTC. I actually don't even have it pulled up, so I have no idea. I think it's about 94K, 93K or something like that as the camera goes out yet again. And let me see. Got to make some gains this cycle so I can afford to Fucking camera. 94K. We got ETH at about 1,800 right now. So Bitcoin, yeah, I mean, really is down as things have been. Bitcoin has actually made so hey, over the last couple of weeks here, it's ending off April, decently, had a good weekly close last week and starting to move up. We had fear that it was going to go down into the low 70s and we were going to lose the entire kind of bull path and stuff like that. That is not what has happened. It's bounced back up despite everybody being bearish. So that is good. We just still haven't obviously seen ETH really follow along with that yet, as usual. So just as we do weekly, looking at the trend of Bitcoin and the lines that you made there on the chart, Ewok, I mean, where do you think of where we're at right now? Because I think the timeline really has looked good. And I don't know how much I meant to explore this a little bit last week, but like, what do you think the chances could be now that we know some stuff will run into 2026, but could even Bitcoin run into 2026, or at least Ethereum, since it's never done anything this cycle yet? I mean, what are your thoughts on the timeline, how BTC is looking, and how far into the next cycle or into the next year we could go?
I think maybe the altcoins could bleed in, but I don't know that Bitcoin and Ethereum will. Historically, the Bitcoin top and ETH top are usually only about a month apart. So that's still a lot of time, guys. It's just tomorrow's May, right? So, you still have 8 months to get a crazy returns that usually happen within, I don't know, 8-12 weeks when you see the parabolic rise of the bull cycle. And where is that going to fall in the next 8 months? Well, it doesn't, it could happen anytime, and this could technically be the start of it. We just don't know. I mean, we are above this trend line with Bitcoin anyway. And as it starts to go, ETH will follow it. They are still heavily tied together. We know there's institutions buying. Yes, the Ethereum side is under the trend line. I don't know why my chart is so out of whack here. What's going on? Oh, that's why. Maybe not.
When in doubt, zoom out, Ewok.
Well, I did. Either way. Yeah, I mean, so Ethereum is definitely below the trend line. What is going on?
What's wrong? What is wrong?
Well, I don't understand. I'm not sure what's happening, whether it's because it shows us now we're above it, but we're not. We're definitely not above the chart or the trend line for Ethereum. We're definitely down. I just don't know if my trend got bumped
what happened there
somehow. It should be. I'm not sure what happened. It got moved or something along those lines. But again, either way, we have plenty of time to complete the cycle this year, as we thought it may, and we'll just stick with the Bitcoin chart here for now. And this one's shown off now too. So I don't know what happened to my.
Yeah, your lines got moved. I don't know.
Yeah, somehow something. Either way, but yeah, it's looking completely fine and completely normal. I don't see anything wrong with where we're at. Again, this. Should be about right here.
Yeah.
And yeah, again, it looks healthy. As for the ratio here, let's check out the old
pretty bad. I think it's pretty much
ratio. Still 0.019. So we're right down there where it's been hanging out for a while in this range. And that's the weekly. Let's look at the daily on that. Yep. It's been that way since the beginning of April. Essentially, we've been in this range of 0.18 to 0.19 somewhere.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But again, as Bitcoin kind of takes off, that will change. Ethereum will close the ratio only because of what I said last week, and that is how heavy Bitcoin is. For ETH to double right now, it's only 3,400, and that's not even an all-time high, 3,500. that's 1,000 away from its all-time high. So again, that ratio should change. Everything is, as far as I'm concerned, moving like normal, like it should. Yeah, that's about all I really have to say.
It is interesting, yeah, because alts, Ethereum and every altcoin basically has been crap for 2 years basically, but Bitcoin has been doing okay. So it is weird, but to be like, experiencing, I mean, because it is undoubtedly a bull market for Bitcoin. I mean, it has been. We have made all-time highs and all that stuff, but most people, that are investing in crypto are investing in altcoins, and they're just not really seeing any gains because we haven't seen Ethereum do anything. So, yeah, most of the people that are looking for actual gains beyond what Bitcoin's able to provide, especially Bitcoin from this point, I mean, what has it got? Maybe a 2x left in this cycle, if anything. I mean, maybe a little bit more than that, So that's what people are looking for, and that's really, why you have faith that Ethereum and these other things are going to run again. Like people, there is actual innovation there. There's literally people out there that still think like, oh, Ethereum is a scam, which I don't even understand what you really mean by that. But yeah, I mean, there's just plenty of things to go around. You just need to have money come back into this market. And I do think macro things need to change. I do think we need to see, we keep talking about it. I mean, it's been 3 months now, basically, since Trump has taken office. There's been a lot of rocky road kind of with him getting in there with some of the actions that he took that, a lot of people doubted that he was very serious about some of the tariffs. And maybe some of them he's actually not serious about because, we have, and what I mean by that is that some of them have been negotiation tactics. He's walked back a lot of stuff. But every day when there's a new headline about like this country, that country, and trade wars back and forth and stuff like that, it is going to affect markets, is my point. Like, regardless of what is happening, just the narratives, the headlines, and everything, it is going to affect markets. And we have seen that happen. We've seen the volatility in the stock market the whole way down onto crypto. So, as that stuff starts to settle down and people stop talking about it, stop worrying about it, and eventually, I think the Fed has to cave and start cutting interest rates. I know that Powell's ego is big. I don't think it's as big as Trump's, which probably means he'll cave eventually. And, especially since the Fed are the ones who really control the world. I mean, they're the ones that control everything in the United States. So, yeah, when will they cut rates? And next week is an FOMC meeting, May the 7th and May the 8th. So we may have something to talk about there. And we'll see if it happens there, although not many people are expecting it. So, yeah, we want to see that happen too. So do you have any kind of final thoughts on any of that stuff or Bitcoin or Ethereum?
No, I mean, yes, we are waiting for them to lower rates, and that will be huge. And we'll see how Powell decides to go. At what point does he cave? And that's, I think, the big. I honestly think that's the big deciding factor here on how this really plays out.
Yeah. Yep, all the world's power is within Jerome Powell's hands. So what does he decide to do? So we shall see. Let's move on to PulseChain right now. So we are dipping yet again. So it was looking like we were making the old all-time low, trying to make it support. But, here we are hanging out at it, and all of a sudden we go back below 4 zeros and a 3 for Pulse. So we're at 4 zeros, 286. We've got Pulse X at 40226. Inc is $1.18. Hex at 0057, and eHex is at 002. We had seen eHex run up pretty decently over the last couple of weeks. With the case dismissal and everything, the fact that there is such low liquidity, and some people like Dipcatcher may think that it was solely because of the FlexNet announcement, and maybe it is partially because of that. I don't know, but we did see that rise up, but yeah, here we are, hello, darkness, my old friend. I mean, we're down below 4 zeros and a 3. And hey, let's just go ahead and go the whole way down to the all-time low again at this point. I mean, who knows where we're going to go here? I mean, we had seen multiple weeks in a row of green candles, which is something that you, Ewok, talked about as a good sign of strength that made you confident to DCA pretty hardcore. And in fairness, I mean, I'm just being dramatic, but we really haven't come down all that far here yet. But yeah, we did have multiple weeks of green candles here for Pulse, which was a nice change of pace. So what do you make? I mean, clearly we're nowhere near out of the woods, but again, Ethereum's also $1,800. So what can you really do? But taking a look at this chart anyway, what do you think?
Well, I mean, yeah, we got four consecutive green weeks, and now we're having a red one, right? So you can't expect them to just go up and up and up. That is not healthy. It's not usually the best interest of any market. It looks a lot like this pattern back here when it went 1, 2, 3, a very small hammer candle here, and then a pullback. And there were a couple pullbacks before it continued to go higher. And I think that is considered healthy. Yes, it's not healthy to be down 70-80%, but you've got to start somewhere. So yeah, I'm seeing a lot of bullishness here. We do have levels that we have to kind of protect. We don't want to go well, actually, it started to pull back right at that level that I was talking about, that it could turn into resistance, which was our old previous low. Yep, the old previous low was, right here at that 3278 or 32 area. And that's exactly where we hit resistance. So, we could have to smash into that a couple times before we break through it. So it's just, that's how the markets kind of go. Whenever you find a new level of resistance, sometimes it takes more than one try to get through it. So that's where we're at right now. This, but again, 3-4 consecutive weeks of green candles is a good thing, as long as we don't pull back any further than the previous green candle before last week. I think we'll be okay. So if it hangs out in this range, chops around a little bit, let's look at a daily and try and so you've got 4-5 consecutive days of down. I think this level is probably our 2746 area. 26, between 26 and 27 is kind of where we have to be mindful of, and hope we don't break through that. Hopefully it bounces off of these levels and continues to go up. I mean, that would be nice to use these old resistance levels as new resistance here as well. So
it's still just hanging out and still the same old story, just kind of DCAing whenever any fresh cash comes in into the ecosystem. So it's just, this is one of those shows where I feel like what do we talk about? It's just everything kind of hanging out. We both were talking off air that it's like I haven't really been on Twitter so much, and it's actually nice. Like it's kind of nice to just be like, all right, well, I mean, crypto's kind of hanging out right now. We are seeing some positive stuff from Bitcoin, and it is a very good point to like try to focus on anything that you can do in your life right now to bring in more capital to DCA into this, if that's what you want to do. Anything that you can do in your life to create more value, more revenue, to be able to DC into the ecosystem. And also it's a welcome distraction in the meantime. I mean, it's not fun to be sitting here like waiting for your bags to go up. I mean, just think about like all the wasted time that is, really. I mean, like how many times can you think of over the last few years where you've thought to yourself, like, you know what, that might have been the low. Like, I think we're going to be good now and everything. And it's like, you just continue to get beaten over the head. So, I mean, it makes sense to treat all this like much more of a long-term vision. Get out there, create something the best that you can in the real world, and try to bring home the bacon to, DCA into the ecosystem or whatever you want to DCA into. So,
I missed checks my pulse question. It says, don't most L1s take 5 years before insane gains? ETH was a little different. I mean, there were 3-4 tokens maybe back then, more than that, obviously, but you had Bitcoin, you had Litecoin, Doge, of course, and a few others that were out there, Dash and whatnot. So there was a lot more money to be out there or to be put into these things. So, and when they launched was a completely different time in the cycle, which we've talked about that before too. Ideally, the bear market was nowhere near over when PulseChain came out. So, unfortunately it had to ride down with the rest of the market before it could be better. But yes, it does take time for things to catch on and find a floor, and especially with with things like PulseChain when there were that many people that sacrificed and got big bags. So not everybody that invested is a believer, and that's pretty clear in the price chart, or
Yeah.
we would have never gone down that much. It would have just kind of held, and people would have told their friends, and they would have bought, and more people would be getting in. But otherwise, that's not what we're seeing, right? We're seeing a lot of down, which means a lot of people sold, and they didn't believe. They wanted the magical overnight riches, and when they didn't get that, they said, "Screw it, I'm out." So here we are.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Let me ask you this real quick, Ewok, and I guess this is a little bit more on the Bitcoin side of things, but we've talked about this before, and we already were mentioning, like, what if we did move into 2026? What do you, out of the last couple cycles, because we had a cycle in 2017 where a lot of people have been comparing what could happen with this cycle to 2017, where there was more like later asymmetric upside to Bitcoin at the end of that year. I mean, you and I were in close proximity, actually, whenever we saw Bitcoin get up to 20K that year. So it was pretty crazy to see, followed obviously by 2019 being, down only for a little while, as is customary. But what do you think the chances are of maybe seeing something more like that? Now, we have already seen Bitcoin, soar to new all-time highs in the actual halving year, in November of last year. But do you think this cycle could look more like 2021 or more like 2017? Because if it's going to look like 2021, I mean, something's going to happen in like 2 weeks here, probably. You know what I mean? Like, we would need to see, something like 200K or something like that in May for it to look like 2021. Not that it has to do that at all. Or could we look at it more like 2017? And things are clearly shaping up to look more like that.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying. I think it looks more like 2017 with the end of the year kind of Christmas top. Around that area, and then it follows into the altcoins, and goes into the new year a little bit with ETH and altcoins. But I think it looks a lot more like 2017 than the 2021 cycle, because hell, by this time in that year we had already topped. I believe it was April 26th or something like that when Richard called the top. And then, we did go back a few months later to make a slightly higher high in September. But this is definitely looking more like the 2017 cycle.
Yeah. Well, it remains to be seen. Either way, I mean, if that means that there's asymmetric upside at some point, I guess it's worth it to stick around as much as it is tough to do. So we shall see which cycle it looks more like. But let's get into, did you want to look at this PulseX chart? Or, it definitely looks great.
Yeah, it looks like just the whole chart looks like a wedge. It's just a descending wedge, and it's just kind of, I want to see how this plays out. And that's kind of why I drew it on here, because it is getting closer and closer and closer to ramping up. Now, this goes down into, this goes the whole way into 26. So obviously we don't want it to take that long for April of 26. But I
if you really guarantee me gains by then, I'll take it.
Whatever. Well, yeah, but I'm not guaranteeing anything at this point. I just like how it's definitely condensing at this point into a smaller channel, and then hopefully it just kind of takes off here. But even out to here is October, November, in this range, where it could just decide just to break out. But I think we'll see something above this level before that. I hope so anyway.
Yeah. Well, remains to be seen. But yeah, the PulseX chart, definitely one of the most bullish charts within the ecosystem. And also PulseX against Pulse has been amazing since the beginning. So definitely good stuff there. If you guys are enjoying the stream so far, do us a favor, hit the like. We appreciate all of you being here tonight. We do this every Wednesday night at, there you go. Sorry, I didn't know you put that up. At 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Why don't we, there's a few places that we could go. Let's look at this ETH upgrade and whether or not this could actually come to PulseChain. So in case you have not known, Ethereum has an update coming on May the 7th. That's a week from today. It's the Pectra upgrade. And we can look at some of the aspects that are going to be coming to Ethereum to see what it will do for it. I'm sure it won't do anything for price, because that's one thing that Ethereum is not interested in, is the price going up or anybody like, being involved in the ecosystem or anything like that. But here from rip.eth, we have Ethereum's Spectra upgrade drops next week. Rollups capacity doubles with increased blobs. Token approvals disappear with batch transactions alongside other user UX improved, with smart wallets. Disable signing during trading or gaming sessions. Gasless transactions sponsored by apps. Passkey support and more. He says Ethereum's biggest upgrade yet, featuring 11 EIPs. So I don't know. I guess it's a matter of opinion if it's Ethereum's biggest upgrade yet, but there definitely are multiple things coming. And I wonder, first off, like, if it will do anything for price action. I mean, we have seen, for the longest time now, and think about it, going into the last bull market and everything, when everybody was trading ETFs, NFTs and everything, the gas fees obviously were the biggest gripe. Like, it's all, Ethereum is too hard to use. So there's all these layer 2s and different L1s being born and stuff like that. Well, now we're almost halfway into 2025. And, for me to bridge to PulseChain costs about a quarter, maybe 50 cents or something like that. Yeah. So Ethereum's fees have been down and the transactions have been cheap. But in terms of these other upgrades that we're seeing, what do you make of this Spectra upgrade? And we'll tackle it just from the ETH side first. But then maybe more importantly to us in this ecosystem, a lot of people are wondering, like, well, okay, when this happens, does this automatically go to PulseChain? Or Richard Hart many times has called ETH actually the test net for PulseChain. So is it like, let's see what these things do, how it looks on Ethereum, and then how we could potentially integrate it into PulseChain? Or can it not even be integrated into PulseChain? I mean, there's also that argument too, which some people say out there. So what do you make of these things?
Yeah, I mean, so there's a lot of neat things. The token approval disappears with the batch transaction, so you can do all of that stuff in one batch. There's a gasless transactions. There's apps that can sponsor that and pay that for you. So the ability to do that, if there's somebody looking forward or trying to get new business out there, and saying we'll pay your gas transaction if you use our DApp, So there's some definitely cool things, but there have been several upgrades done to Ethereum since PulseChain launched, but as of today, I don't think any of them have been implemented for one reason or another. Now the comment is, or the question is, can they be? And I don't see why not. There were things put in place when PulseChain launched that we could take any and every update when they came out. There are risks, of course, with any upgrade. I know there's a new change, not to change the subject or anything, but there is a new update for Bitcoin as well that's being highly controversial as well. Now that code is a little different, right? So anytime, I think the last 2 times that there was a upgrade for Bitcoin introduced, there was also a bug that was kind of came into existence because of it, right? The ETH code is a lot different, using the EVM programming and whatnot. It's a lot more secure as far as upgrades go. I think maybe Richard's devs are saying, hey, we don't need to do these yet. We can roll them out at any time. And they can probably just monitor all of the, upgrades and maybe put them all out at once. Who knows? Like, I don't know. That is a question that, is above my pay grade anyway, of how quickly you can launch, update and have them, all caught up. But you do want to allow some time. I think you want to allow some time to make sure that nothing is happening. There's no problems with it. There's no bugs. And as far as I know, ETH still has a decent bug bounty program. And I'm not in those chat rooms or anything to monitor. There could be bugs that have happened that have been worked out. So, again, that question of can they be? Well, I haven't heard otherwise. So I'm going to say yes, they should. There's no reason why they can't be upgraded. But why haven't they? That's our big question. Is like why, there's been several updates. Why hasn't PulseChain been part of those at all? And that is one question that I'm sure would be asked if Richard was live streaming and answering any kind of questions, is why haven't we gotten any updates? So yeah, it's a good question to ask, and rightfully so, but we don't need it as of right now. So
that's what I was just going to say, is how many of the updates or upgrades that Ethereum has would be something that PulseChain like desperately needs at the time also. Like that's another thing to think about. Like, one is a blockchain that's been around now for over 8 years or something. And the other is 2 years in, and we haven't faced the load that Ethereum has faced so far, even though we've had like a lot of action on the blockchain and stuff. We haven't had what Ethereum has had. Obviously, it's not the household name that Ethereum is yet or anything. So,
when PulseChain was launched, it launched with all the 8 years prior, all of those updates. So it was currently at that point, it's only 2 years of updates that we're behind. What's that, 100 weeks or so? So yes, there's been a couple as far as gas fees and things like that have definitely come down, but again, so has the use. We haven't seen any demand yet on the ETH side of things to see how gas prices will react. Were there changes made to that, or is it just because there's no NFTs and there's no all this DeFi happening right now? Because that does eat up a lot of gas, and NFTs launching and people fighting for those, and it hogs up a lot of the bandwidth, and that's when you start to get the high prices. So I guess we'll have to see as user interactions happen whether gas really reacts. Now, I've seen days where it did shoot from less than 1 GWE up to 30, 40 really quick.
Right.
And then it, calms back down, but we'll see how that is during the high peak of things, and how easily sustainable that is and what it does to prices.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. We will have these implemented on May the 7th, so it is next week that these will be implemented into Ethereum. I mean, I wouldn't definitely not get any delusions of like the price getting ultra bullish after that, though. I mean, it is good stuff, and I mean, users will definitely appreciate some of them. We've also, I can't remember if this is already in effect because I haven't even tried to use it, but I think they also on ETH have already had, or this wouldn't really be ETH. I guess this would be a Uniswap upgrade, but like the ability to swap without having ETH in your wallet. Basically, they'll just use as gas whatever the token is that you're swapping out of, which is something that CowSwap had already done for a really long time. So I think that was probably a Uniswap upgrade or something there. But I mean, just little things here and there to make transacting on the network a little bit easier for the layman anyway. So yeah, we'll see what does happen there. And I think for our next topic, we should shift to this because I saw a question about it in chat. It's more important to me than some of the other stuff we have to get to. So let's pitch it over to Digital Money Marcus here. He says, is RH coming off the red notice soon? He was been tweeting about a charity, and some are speculating that it might be a way out of the Finland tax obligation. Well, we don't know that it is an obligation, but I understand where you're coming from there anyway. So yeah, if we want to go to Richard's tweet here, that is what people have been speculating about, because he's been talking about a charity and certain charities potentially having interest in crypto, essentially. So we'll look at this from the other day. And that's been one of the things, like a lot of the questions since the decisive win over the SEC, which actually happened on February the 28th, but then was sealed with a silver bullet basically last week. after the SEC did not amend their complaint that Richard completely and utterly beat them in that lawsuit. So a lot of people after that have been saying, hey, when is this red notice thing going to go away? Like, we know it's a bunch of BS too, because it's just a monetary shakedown. Let's take a look at this post. I think it was just yesterday from RH. So he says, I wonder who has a registered charity or similar type of nonprofit entity that might want to spread the good word about free and open source software. I hear many countries offer discounts for such activities. Who might know someone? So, yeah, while some people are taking it as a serious inquiry into anybody that would know anything about this, it seems pretty clear that he may be dropping clues as to where potentially certain money from the sacrifice could be, basically, at this point. So what do you make, Ewok, of what he is saying here? And a lot of people are then again tying that to the red notice thing, in which they claim like aggravated tax. I think, did they actually say no? Aggravated tax fraud. Yes. I was going to throw the word assault in with the fraud too. Like, they just throw a lot of like buzzwords in there to make it sound even worse than it is, obviously. But
there was an assault charge also that was listed, but aggravated tax fraud, assault is the way it's worded when you look at the red notice. But yes, so I don't know. Many of you know that, some time ago, there was Mountain Crypto Advisors were helping people set up with things. And one of the things that they were helping people get set up with was what they call a CRT, which is a charitable remainder trust. Mm-hmm. Now, we had been talking about this for a few weeks, about people, or about how we thought this was all registered to a trust. Well, a charitable remainder trust is a little bit different, where you just deposit all the money into this trust, and when that person, whoever it is, when that person dies, then it all goes to the charity. But in the meantime, you can extract, I believe it's 5 or 6% per year as an income, and it definitely offsets a lot of your fees, a lot of your taxes, things like that. So, I never thought about the CRT whenever, we said that it was probably in a trust registered in some very tax-friendly country. Mm-hmm. But yes, when this was said, it was like, oh, well, that makes definite sense. And then, Nuclear Herbs goes on to say, hey, what's the difference between a 501c3 and a 501c4? And I don't know if you really read into that much at all.
Is it the different types of trust?
Yes, they are. And again, I don't know I guess Grok took the day off, but he goes into saying, here's the differences and what they are. So that's a good read for you if you're interested in what the difference is between the two. But they're very tax friendly anyway. So yeah, it would be a great play and a nice little hint of what happened. I can't think of any other reason why, unless he's asking for people that may have a charity or whatever to, no, maybe not. I don't think Richard would ask other people to do that. He's not the one to ask for those type of things. So, yeah,
I think you could be dropping some hints. Yeah,
I think he's definitely dropping hints about the red notice, and his lawyers probably gave him the clear to mention. If not, he's being very vague about it anyway.
Well, then he had the follow-up today, the chicken and the egg thing just a little bit ago that I think might have been, I think he might have been meaning something along these lines as well with that one. What came first, the chicken or the egg? I say the egg. Whichever chicken was the first, it popped out of an egg first. What say you? And then there's Sami translating it. Richard Hart set up the chicken, a charity entity which laid the eggs. PulseChain sacrifices. Chicken equals Richard Hart charity entity. Egg equals PulseChain plus PulseX sacrifice. Therefore, the Interpol notice issued by Estrogen Union's fat lactating man boob. is about to go away. Yeah, will be dropped soon. Finland government is not owed taxes because the chicken was nourished before we even started PulseChain campaign. So yeah, I mean, they wouldn't even have a claim to it. Like, it wouldn't even be something that they would have access to. That's his point.
Right.
So,
and especially, again, like I had mentioned before, if the trust or charitable remainder, whatever it was set up in another country, which is quite possible, and nobody would know. I don't think you have to declare anything, especially in certain jurisdictions to the country that you're in currently. That wouldn't even make sense. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Finland is definitely overreaching, and they had no idea. And one of the reasons why, Richard came out when he said what he said, how he was pretty bulletproof. I think that was right around Christmas time, when he made that statement. But again, he usually is quite a few steps ahead, plans these things very thoroughly before he acts, and yeah. I mean, it's just a matter of time, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. And it's encouraging to see him posting this stuff. It's just cool to see him kind of turning the page. Like, the SEC thing happened, it's over. He's happy about it. There's a lot of people in responses to some of these things clamoring, like, okay, hey, you successfully beat the SEC. Congratulations. Are you going to stream now, or what's going on? And I
might
don't.
As well hit on this one. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, I don't know what the timeline for that would be. I don't want to go like a different direction when this could be still part of it, but like him streaming, I know we talk about it every goddamn week, and I'm sick of hearing about it even myself. But the SEC thing happens, then it's like, well, they have 60 days to appeal, even though it would be asinine for them to do it. It makes no sense at all, and I don't think they're being directed to do anything like that. But then also the potential of the red notice. And it sounds like, and we've heard rumblings that, you've said it before too, that his attorneys are likely working on something for the red notice also behind closed doors. And now that he seems to be posting about it indirectly, we could be on the precipice of finding out that is gone. And could that be what he's waiting for? I don't know. I mean, with the advisory of Quinn Emanuel, I mean, like, if they're going to tell him, like, look, I know you want to talk. I'm sure you want to get out there. I'm sure you want to promote the blockchain even more. But just wait for these things. Or he may just also know that if he comes out, think about how much it would suck if he came out and streamed right now and how excited everybody would be. And we get yet another rollover in price because the market's just not perked up right now. Like, Ethereum still is where it's at. So, we've had an SEC when we have all these bullish things, and PulseChain still has like gone to lows. So,
or even worse, he comes out, he streams, they do some kind of IP search, track him down, and extradite him before this is done, right?
Yeah,
and he does end up in jail because of that. You know what I mean? Wherever he is right now, he's safe. He's not really broadcasting, or I'm sure he's got his IP well hidden to be able to to post on Twitter and do whatever. So yeah, imagine if he would to do a live stream and they were to track him down because of that, and something happened. Again, I think you need to let it play out, let it finish, let them clear his name, and then I think all systems go at that point.
Right. Yeah. And actually, I mean, kind of just a reminder, as we're seeing right here, how soon we forget it was just a couple weeks ago since he opened comments back up. So we have that actually happening too. But yeah, with this tweet, I'll read this and you let me know where you think he's coming from. And then we actually have Charlie, old Cultivate Crypto, chiming in here, speaking of streaming. But Richard says the blockchain was invented to replace trust with proof. So idiots, being what they are, have filled up all the space around the blockchain with playing make-believe, the opposite of proof. Demand proof, raise your bar for belief, verify, not trust. Yeah. So what do you think he's intimating here? Where is he coming from here? I think it's about PDI.
I think it's PDI as well, or Atropa, or fucking. No, I think it is. I think there are still so many stories out there about how he is involved with this or that, or one thing or another, or that I believe that this is pointed in that direction. It's the only thing I could really think of that's happening right now, other than sacrifice or whatever, saying, what they're going to do with the funds and this or that. I mean, that's the only other thing that I could think of. But yeah, I really think it has to do something with some of the crazy stories that are out there about how Richard is still behind this, whatever is going on to get PDI or Atropa or whatever the latest news story is for the week, of something to peg to $1. So that's what I think it's about.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. I don't know. I actually haven't even really been seeing much of the PDI crowd. I just really haven't been seeing a lot of anything, I feel like lately. Yeah. I don't know if I'm just, again, I know we talked about it off the air. Literally, I think the Twitter algorithm has changed. There's people bitching about it and stuff. So I don't know if there's just certain crypto stuff we're not seeing. Like it seems, I was saying to you that whatever the Twitter argument of the day is just seems to be getting into everybody's feed. Like, no, women actually prefer men with dad bods. You have it all wrong. And Sami was talking about this. I always get this shit too because I'm into nutrition and stuff, but you'll always get drinking a gallon of water a day actually is horrible for you. And here's a thread on why and all this shit. And it's like, okay, why am I getting this stuff? But yeah, anyway. So it's good to see Richard tweeting. I mean, just the other day, I don't know if you saw this, but I saw Toby Wan posted something like, I'm pretty sure Richard's last tweet was the final one we're ever going to see from him. Or so. I don't know where he was coming from with this, but it was like literally right as Richard tweeted yesterday, pretty much. But Toby Wan was like, that may be the last we've ever heard of him. He beat the SEC. We need to act as if he's never speaking again. How do you plan to act with this information? Did you not see that post?
I did.
Oh, you did? Okay. Yeah. I just thought that was amusing because then Richard tweeted like right away after he said that stuff.
Right.
But
yeah, I thought that was weird too. And I forget, he went on to say something else, like he was going to pull a Satoshi and disappear. And yeah, I don't see, there's too much unfinished business for Richard to just fade away. I think it would be a major letdown for a lot of people that have put full belief and conviction into his products and things that he's created, and now just would not be the right time. Plus, there's a big difference. People know who Richard is. They know what he looks like. Nobody know, like when you say pull a Satoshi, I mean, the guy, nobody really knows what he ever looked like.
Well, it's Craig Wright.
No, it's definitely not. There's a lot of speculation on quite a few people who it may have been, but either way, nobody knows for sure. I mean, there's a few people I'm sure that know, but for the most part, yeah, it's a completely different scenario, and yeah, I think it'd be terrible timing for that to even be considered.
Yeah. No, I hear you. But again, it is bullish that he's been tweeting and stuff like this lately. Hopefully he's feeling like something is on the horizon and dropping some breadcrumbs for everybody. So that is cool to see. And yeah, we'll remain to be patient. Shout out to the other dad bods. There you go.
There you go.
Hairy chest. Yeah, there you go. Apparently that's what the women like. Yeah, it's not at all that's what they're married to, and maybe they're overweight themselves or anything like that. But anyway, thanks everybody for being here tonight. If you are enjoying the stream, hit the like button. We appreciate all of you being here. I'll tell you what, we got to do this since the man, the myth, the legend just dropped in. Okay. Shout out to RH Max. I had it on the notes to talk about last week, and we didn't just because we were getting to extra stuff. But how about this guy who goes out on his own amongst all these people that are bitching and complaining about, we need new leadership in PulseChain. We need a different Pulse conference. I'm boycotting the other one, and I don't like that Matty Allen's doing this or that or the other thing. And who's going to start a new one up and without doing anything or taking any action themselves? Well, here's a man who takes action. RH Max starting up a new PulseChain conference that begins. If you're still here, my friend, you can let us know in the chat. I'm forgetting now. It's it's very soon. It's like right before the anniversary of the launch of PulseChain, right?
I believe 5/5 and 5/6 are the dates.
Yeah. It's called the PulseChain 2055 conference.
Monday and Tuesday. Yes.
Yeah.
Of next week, I believe.
Yeah.
So,
yep. And I saw that he released the guest list and was going. I went over everybody that was on there. I mean, it looks awesome. I'm really happy to see RH Max stepping up and doing this. And yeah, I just, if there's one thing I can't stand, it's when people bitch, complain, and don't take any action. And then when somebody else isn't saying anything, and then he comes out of the blue with action like this. So
yep,
yeah, man. I
yep,
mean,
for sure. Yep,
shout
Monday and
out.
Tuesday, the 5th and 6th, I believe it starts. Max, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it starts at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard, and goes until 6 or 7 or whenever it's what's finished for the day there. So,
Yeah, about the middle of the day.
yeah.
Yeah. So that is awesome, man. Appreciate that. We will definitely be tuning into that for sure. So appreciate you starting that up, brother. Yeah, Wild SJ in the chat. Shout out to her. Marcavelli, how gay.
What? That's not what
Okay.
I clicked.
That's what you clicked. That's what you put up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Marcavelli's
If he
gay.
means how happy we are, yeah, I'm very gay. And if that's the case. So yeah, we will be joining. I mean, we will be watching for sure, RH Max. So yeah, for sure. Okay, let's move on here and don't clip any of the stuff I just said a moment ago, anybody. Okay, from one thing to another, let's go to Go Pulse real quick. So you know, we don't have to necessarily, maybe I shouldn't even mention them by name, but okay, so Go Pulse, the portfolio tracker, obviously. We've got the Go token, I guess, coming. I don't know anything about it. I think it happens. Oh, actually, I think it's tomorrow or something like that. May 1st. They have a token they are launching. Apparently, there's some sort of sacrifice affiliated. Maybe we shouldn't speculate too much on what's going on here because I know some people have talked about like, this is what people have said. I'm not claiming this. I have no idea. But people have said, I think the person that is, I think the account was sold or something like that on Twitter and it's somebody else now or something like that. I don't know. I don't care about this whole thing. I know we were all talking about it offline, Ewok, the other day. I have no interest in it. I don't really know what they're doing, and I really haven't even read anything about it. So maybe I'm not even authority to be talking about it in any way at all. But one thing I do know is that people are beyond exasperated of, you know, sacrifice phases and token launches and things like that. I mean, it's at this point, it's not even like kind of funny anymore. I mean, it's just like such an old act. So I don't know. What do you know about it? Do you care about it? And I mean, I guess we do care about it in a way that, you know, I personally would probably caution against getting involved, but anybody can do whatever they want to do. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I guess we have to back up a little bit in order to get my full feelings on this. Knowing that well, you know, I don't know how many people know this or not, but Victor is apparently the one that is behind this. Victor at one point was a dev. He's also had a few other websites. Free Pulse was one of the ones that was originally created. Was supposed to be a airdrop of Pulse with a gambling site kind of attached to it. And then there was another one that was kind of created. I forget what it was. And then Go Pulse has been somewhat successful. It's been a very good community website. And, you know, in the meantime, they've quietly withdrawn about $4 million or extracted about $4 million over time through the hidden trading fees that happen within the platform itself. I'm a fan of people making money with a service that they provide. I don't have a problem with that. The problem that I have is that it was really never disclosed, other than you know, they say, well, everybody knows about it now. I'm like, yeah, that's hardly fair to say. When you're, you know, when you're taking money and not everybody does know about it, because otherwise they're still using it when you could use Pateus for nothing, right?
Right.
And it's funny because when they do their transactions to bridge out, they're using Pateus. They're not using their own platform. So, you know, that has been noted several times too. So anyway, yes, they're having a sacrifice for this Go token, which again, you know, they claim there's going to be a buy and burn instead with those fees. it will be used to buy and burn the Go token, increasing the value for it. But that could be another thing that Richard was talking about too. Is don't trust, verify.
Mhm.
With this whole thing too. So again, I personally am not interested in it. I'm not going to put any more money into a sacrifice. I think if you want to buy the token later after everybody dumps their sacrifice, like they've done historically every time that there has been a sacrifice, most people could have, instead of sacrificing, bought in much lower rates anyway. That's what I would recommend. If you really have to have some of this token, I think that's probably the best way to approach it. So
Yeah.
again, I don't want to get into the politics of people calling each other out, which I'm not a fan of one business group calling out another individual business group, but it gets a little, I don't like to get involved with that kind of drama. But I'll give my opinion and say that I'm not going to participate. If I want to get some of them later, I will wait until, like I said, everybody either dumps it and gets out, or if the price goes straight up, then I won't touch it. Either way, it doesn't matter to me. But again, I'm not interested in a sacrifice, especially with somebody that has been known to bridge out, again, $4 million roughly of value from the community already. So.
And a couple things there. So, with the fees that they have on swaps kind of being hidden, I will say, and I'm not going to like mention the other ones who kind of do this, but they're not the only entity that has a bridge or buying mechanism that takes a little bit of a rake without the user realizing it. I'll just say that because there's a couple other ones out there that you and I have talked about in private. There's a certain bridge that we've talked about on here before that all you have to do is like mimic what you're going to bridge over, and you can very clearly see they're taking money from you that they're not disclosing. And then there's another mechanism as well. You just have to be smart enough to kind of see those things.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm not saying, I'm not like forgiving GoPulse for that. I'm just saying that is something that you all should watch out for. Like there is usually some sort of a hidden fee. I mean, it's just like, if you play, it's not just like, but I mean, if you play like daily fantasy sports, or like if you've ever bet in some way or something like that, there's usually some kind of juice hidden somewhere that you just don't know about, so you just have to be wise enough to see it. But I totally agree with you about participating or not participating in the sacrifices. I mean, first off, like how much do you actually believe in the thing that you're sacrificing in? If it's not, full throat, 100%, I'd give my child up for it, I probably wouldn't do it and just wait for it to crash and buy it when it flatlines, because that's likely what's going to happen. Like there's all this excitement around a token launch. We've seen it time and time again. I mean, it happens all the time. There's just hype that you can easily get FOMO'd into because you were like, oh man, this is my chance to be on the ground floor. And it's still a market at the end of the day. It's just a bunch of people's emotions, and a bunch of people around a centralized event get really excited. So they put some money in, and then the excitement goes away. Some people start to sell, and then the price flatlines. And at that time, if you really like the thing, just buy it then because it's dead,
Yeah, this is one of the things that I didn't mention in the list of tokens were all RH tokens and stable coins, I think. Which also kind of concerned me a little bit. If you're going to do this, I would recommend get fresh stable coin and put it in. Don't give up the things that you've been holding for so long, especially at these levels. Because if you're going to put $50-100 in, then get 50 or $100 of a fresh stable coin and do it. I would never give up Hex, Pulse, PulseX, Incentive, any of those tokens, especially for a sacrifice right now.
Yeah. And I agree with your point as well about these accounts that are linked to business entities. This turns me off like in any aspect of the world, but in crypto as well. Like if you have a platform, like you have to understand that you posting from it and taking like a certain tone or mixing it up with people and stuff like that, like if you want to do that, that's fine. I'm just letting you know that me, as maybe the average person on Twitter or the average crypto user or something, I like, there's no way I'm going to use a service where there's like this unperfect. I'm not saying that, like, I'm not like stuck up. I'm not saying you have to be some kind of buttoned up fake normie, but like when you're mixing it up and like, we're going to expose this person, I just am like,
yeah,
you seem pretty fucked up, you know, and it makes me just not want to mess with your stuff because I'm like, we're an emotional wreck on Twitter, you know. So it makes me not have faith in you. So that's just me. I mean, some people may not feel that way, but that's how I am when I see stuff like that. So
yeah. If people are going to expose somebody, do it from your personal account. You know, not everybody knows who owns what companies, but when you do it from a business account, it doesn't look good, man. It just doesn't. It doesn't look good for your business. And I don't know what other people see as a perception, but yeah, I would much rather see it. If you're going to do that stuff, make a personal account or make a fake account. I don't care. But you really shouldn't do stuff like that from your business.
Or even better, how about just like tend to your own garden and make your own thing good and stop worrying about everybody else.
True.
You know what I mean? Yeah, that's probably the best.
Probably the best thing.
Yeah. Anyway, so that is that. Not interested, not going to probably even look at it again. So let's move on to, let's see. I don't know. Do you want to go into this new block explorer from Midgard? Actually, I know you wanted to talk about this last week and we just got busy and maybe I messed up and we didn't get to it, but I know Corey Geary so, you know, well, I'll just set this up. So one of the big things from the launch of this chain that there were complaints about is like, why is there not a reliable block explorer? Like, why, you know, that should be one of the basic things that we have. You know, people are used to very efficient ones on Ethereum and stuff like that. Why is something as simple as a block explorer on PulseChain so hard to get done? Well, now finally, and I don't know, you know more about this than I do, but Midgard, is it Midgard the entity? I guess that
Midgard is the brand. Yes, the company name.
Yeah, and I forget his name, but I know the gentleman was on with Corey Geary last week talking about it, and they were highlighting it and stuff like that. But yeah, this was definitely needed, and it looks amazing. So what do you make of it, and how important do you think it was for us to get a reliable block explorer? And really, why do you think like it was neglected or not a major focus? Because while I understand that with some stuff, like don't introduce every upgrade right away because you want to do it as the bull market's going on. Right. That one seems like kind of a basic thing. So yeah.
Well, I think what happened is when we lost what you call it, why am I losing? Debank. Yes.
Oh yeah.
When we lost Debank and Rabby, it made it very, very difficult for people to track any kind of anything. And I think it's more about the guys that are trying to track down old transactions and figure out what's going on here and there. But this Midgard Explorer looks really great. And it's you know, there's all kind of charts going on. There's all kind of information. It's much better than, what is it, Otter
Scan
and Otter Scan, and then the default one. They're so slow. I do remember the guy saying that one of their main focuses on was speed, right? Trying to get as fast as possible. You know, when you click on these, they're pretty fast. I mean, you get load of holdings, and this is this address, and this is their holdings of everything, and everything's super fast. So it's pretty cool. They've also come out with another tool as well, and I don't know if you heard him talking about this one or not, but it is called scan.midgard.wtf, and you can put a
WTF?
token. That's the site is midgard.wtf.
Interesting.
For the Explorer, and then there is scan.midgard.wtf for the security scanner. So if you're concerned about a contract address or token or whatever, you plug it in, and it'll run a scan on it to tell you if it's safe to interact with or not.
Hmm.
Pretty cool
Yeah.
stuff. Now, this is more of a beta type thing right now, and it is free here, but it says you have 505 remaining. So I haven't ran it yet, but each API key that you get, I think this is part of their upgrade later that you can pay a little bit to get these things. This is the token scanner, and then they also have a pool scanner as well that is not working currently, but they're working on it. Obviously, it hasn't been really announced yet, other than what he mentioned on the stream with Corey. So pretty cool stuff that they're doing. Again, like some of these transactions, you pull up a wallet, and like I said, it loads super fast. You get all kind of transaction history, things like that. You can dig into different wallet addresses and go down any rabbit hole you want. There's and it loads fast. So super nice tool to use for people for a change. I know Etherscan just came out with a update recently, including I don't know, 15 or 20 different new chains that it would work on. Unfortunately, I wonder why, but PulseChain was excluded from that list. No surprise there, but
Right.
again, tools like this are super critical when you're trying to figure things out, and for the blockchain sleuths that are out there, should be excited to have this. So yeah, very good looking, very clean, very fast. I'm impressed by it from what I've used anyway.
It definitely does look amazing, yeah. And the speed of it, the look of it, everything. I just can't, like I said, it was one of those things that, why would we not have a reliable block explorer from the beginning? So for them to come along and do this, I think is fantastic. Shout out to Corey for having him on and going over that and everything. But yeah, I hope they do continue to build. And the guy definitely seemed really passionate about PulseChain and stuff, and has been here since kind of the beginning of it. So very, very cool for sure. Let's see. I don't know if there's anywhere else we should really go tonight. Nothing really screaming at me, unless there's something you want to go. Oh, I did. Yeah, I was just going to say we should acknowledge that on air. Go ahead.
Absolutely. DJ and Moonboy, once again, you always go above and beyond for us, and we appreciate the super chat. He says, thanks for your consistency and value to the community.
DMB is an OG. Yeah, he's been here since the beginning and one of our most reliable, faithful viewers, of course, and we appreciate it. We appreciate all of the, viewers that are here every week, but we really appreciate him because he sends the most money. And that's just being friends. But no, I appreciate that, DMB. And, of course, all of you guys. Checks My Pulse, Marco, Bitfinesse, everybody out there. We appreciate all you guys being here every week. It would help if you sent a little bit of money. I'm just kidding. I don't know. I don't want to get into anything else extensive tonight. I know you're not feeling the greatest, Ewok, and I wouldn't mind having some time to chillax. But is there anything you want to kind of wrap up with?
I don't think so. I think we've covered just about any important news that I can think of anyway.
Yeah, I think so too. This is just kind of one of those times where we're in this little lull. And, we have talked about this in the past. Is sometimes when things get boring and quiet like that is when all of a sudden there's this big pivot and it turns around to grab your attention again. It's the kind of calm before the storm. Again, weeks ago, we were having everybody talking about tariff drama every single day and the market's crashing and everything. And now we're in this, come on, do something phase and nothing really going on. And the next thing you know, this whipsaw may come along and we finally have something going on. So, yeah, just keeping your head in the game.
I don't know if you put this comment up from Bitfinesse earlier, but we were talking about the sacrifice. And I do remember Richard saying this. He's like, you might as well just throw your money out the window. Maybe you'll get lucky and some of it will blow back in.
Very good. Yeah.
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 So
nice comment. Nice quote. Yeah. So do you have any kind of copium to leave everybody with here this evening, Ewok?
Other than just what I've been saying all along is hang in there. our time will come. It will come. I don't know when. I don't know how soon. But
if we'll be here alive anymore,
we'll be here. We'll be here. I guarantee it.
We will be here. Yeah.
Week after week, we'll be here, and it will happen. So I think yes, Hex Girl. I think May is going to be a decent month. I don't think it's going to be our greatest month, but I think you start to see other things turn around with general markets. Hopefully, we get a little bit of a interest rate reduction, which kind of triggers things and kind of plays down through the line into Bitcoin and Ethereum, and we'll see it in the rest of the markets, hopefully. But yes, it will be very worth the wait, SJ. I agree with you.
Yeah. Just got to hang in there. Really, that's it. And, it's totally understandable. We've talked about this before. If you are like out of dry powder, there's just not a lot coming in, or you're worried or have other things you need to take care of, not selling and just holding is also, I'm not going to say it's as good as buying, I guess, but I mean, you're still staying in the game, and you're in the minority if you're able to do that, because most people are not, obviously. Look at the chart. So, yeah, we will be here again next week. It'll be May. It's going to be May 7th, I guess that will be. So we may have some FOMC to talk about. We'll see if there are bullish things going on in crypto by that point. And yeah, should be a lot of fun. So we do this every Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you, Checks My Pulse, DJ Moonboy, of course, Wild SJ, Hex Girl, Digital Money Marcus, Marco, Hammy, 228. I don't remember you from before, but welcome in, sir. RH Max was here earlier. Valiant Low Key, and a whole bunch more. So appreciate you guys. We will be back here next week, right here on the Creed of Crypto. See you guys.
See you.